It takes a lot for a politician or a government agent to be able to sue you for lying about him, for good reason. They exercise power over us, so they deserve the utmost scrutiny and even scorn. Thus, we are almost entirely free to say the worst things about them. They are the pedophile class, and the survivors are the lucky ones they don't murder in self-unaliving hoaxes. Or, in the news recently, they're career rapists who betray not just their families, but the innocence and respect of their young staffers, too. And rarely is there any successful litigation about it, although in Swalwell's case, he is threatening it, but it is limited. The premise is, yes, I am a scumbag. I'm just not quite that big of a scumbag. I am a family-betraying cheater. You are right about that. I'm just not a full-blown rapist. I select loose women intentionally. I actually only deal in whores. In other words, whatever the list of awfuls you can think of to describe your most hated politician, half the time you're probably right, and truth is an invincible defense. And the other half are still your right to say, as long as you preface that commentary with something like, "It is my opinion that," and not something like, "It is established fact that," when you call that politician the worst things in earthly existence. Still, defamation lawsuits from the government against the people are possible when the lie is completely egregious. When the lie is made with what's called actual malice under the First Amendment standard, as in the person knows the defamatory statement is factually false, and she still says it anyway, to some sort of damaging effect. And it sure looks like that is exactly the case here, or at least it's very hard to imagine this woman is just somehow mistaken. She has a documented history of lying repeatedly for years, and she lied again now. In another story out of Chicago, call her the Ice Jussie or the Ice Jussette, except this isn't polar vortex ice, it's immigration enforcement. In early March, reports emerged through the family of Sundus or Sunny Nakvi, a 28-year-old woman from Skokie, Illinois, and Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison that Nakvi, an American citizen, was unlawfully detained by ICE for nearly 4 days. They said she was arrested at the Chicago O'Hare Airport after returning to the U.S. from a trip to Turkey. They said Homeland Security brought her to the ICE facility in nearby Broadview, Illinois, and then moved her to Juneau, Wisconsin, and the Dodge Detention Facility, which ICE operates in cooperation with the Dodge County Sheriff's Department and Sheriff Dale Schmidt. Nakvi provided Morrison with supposed screenshots of her location in that Dodge County Detention Center, and he ran with it to the public and the media. Wow! What a crazy story that police just locked up a U.S. citizen for no reason at all. Even crazier that they let her keep her phone while they did, apparently. Very strange. During her alleged detention, activists stirred up a frenzy outside that Wisconsin jail. They screeched long into the night, demanding justice.
You got a U.S. citizen right now in there, and what the fuck are you doing?
So I just calmly asked one of the police officers, why is nobody doing anything? I mean, this is a U.S. citizen and nobody's doing anything. Could one of you officers just go in there and find out what's going on? And they refused to answer. And that's very disheartening because you have all these people, you have the family out here, and there's no answers.
Turns out they're not doing anything because there is nothing to do. The entire premise that immigration authorities have a U.S. citizen unlawfully detained inside just is not true. Why is nothing happening? Well, because nothing is in fact happening. But the story continues, just like letting her keep her phone for some reason. For other reasons, I don't see it all explained. Supposedly, ICE just let her go from that Juneau, Wisconsin detention center. No instructions, no travel accommodations back home. She just walked out of the building and she hitchhiked to a hotel where her family then picked her up. Or so the story goes. Or so the lie goes, actually, because on the slightest touch of scrutiny, the story started to fall apart. First, because reporters asked law enforcement for details and comment. Homeland Security said, yes, we did hold that woman at the airport briefly for about an hour from 10:46 a.m. to 11:42 a.m., which they provided surveillance images to demonstrate. Then she was released. She was never taken into ICE custody. She was never taken from the airport. Likewise, the sheriff of Cook County has no record of her detention, and the sheriff in Dodge County, Wisconsin also has no record of her detention. That reporting in the Chicago Tribune investigating the story was published on March 11th, and since, that was kind of it. The woman just lied about being an ICE victim. That local politician used the story for his own political purposes. He lost a congressional primary in the meantime, and then the story went away. Except the sheriff in Dodge County, Wisconsin, Dale Schmidt, isn't letting it go away. Given that he was implicated as some kind of thug, unlawfully jailing a U.S. citizen and supposedly lying about it, Sheriff Schmidt spent the last month investigating it. And while the motive to fake this story remains unclear, the fact that this woman faked it is not. The whole thing is a proven hoax. The sheriff held a press conference Friday. It was 45 minutes detailing his case, clearing his name and the names of all the others falsely accused.
These claims that were made regarding an alleged detention, they've gained significant attention, but they have not been supported by any verified evidence at all.
As Homeland Security previously demonstrated, Nakvi was held and questioned at the airport. Turns out for good reason. Again, she was returning from international travel, coming back from Istanbul. She said she was on a work trip with co-workers for her employer, a German software company called SAP. The problem is, she is not an employee of that company. The company confirmed that she is not and has never been in their employment, and none of their employees have been detained at the Chicago O'Hare Airport. So, with whom was she traveling? Well, this is where the story starts to break open. She wasn't traveling with co-workers. She was traveling with a boyfriend, or, like the rest of this story, kind of a scam boyfriend, actually. Upon the airport questioning, Nakvi asked this boyfriend to lie about being her co-worker, which he did to her lawyer, but refused to do for the media. Once he realized he was being used in some kind of scam, this boyfriend approached the Dodge County Sheriff to tell him what happened. The boyfriend's identity is protected under Wisconsin law, so we don't know exactly who this guy is, but the whole time that Nakvi was supposedly in ICE custody, she was actually in hotels asking this boyfriend for money. She texted him repeatedly asking him to pay for food and spa services and more, so during the time she claimed she was suffering inhumanity, she was actually enjoying luxury on someone else's credit card. And for this poor guy, that credit card is now maxed out. Turns out the trip to Turkey was actually for Nakvi to get some kind of medical procedure, which most likely means a cosmetic enhancement. Certain augmentations in Turkey are right around the price this boyfriend described, but we don't know exactly what it was. This guy spent his $12,000 tax return on this trip. He took out a $3,000 personal loan to pay for whatever this medical procedure was. The credit card was maxed at $3,000. He spent another $1,000 on legal fees. Boyfriend guy tells the sheriff he spent almost $25,000 total. In the month Nakvi led him to believe this was some kind of meaningful long-term relationship. Well, isn't that fraud? Why are we talking defamation lawsuit instead of criminal fraud prosecution? Some complications. Almost all of this activity took place in Chicago, Cook County, Illinois, not Dodge County, Wisconsin. And whatever jurisdiction Sheriff Schmidt may have on some transactions, Nakvi actually asked this guy for permission for them, and he foolishly granted it.
Because anytime she used the money that I saw, she asked for permission. Can I have the spa? Well, can I pay for the spa treatment? Of course. He responded with the affirmative, you can do that.
So, since most of this activity is Cook County jurisdiction, Sheriff Schmidt says boyfriend guy is just politically out of luck.
I contacted local law enforcement, and I have one local detective that very much wants to assist with this. But he and the other law enforcement agency I contacted are very frustrated because they're in Cook County, and they stated, you know this is Cook County, right? Which means that even though we have a victim, there are prosecutors in Cook County, Illinois that simply won't take a case like this. Yesterday, I called the victim, and I told him if this crime of theft happened in Dodge County, she would be in jail. And I was actually surprised. His response was, yeah, it sucks to live in a blue state.
At least tracing the story through him provided the political truth, though. The sheriff's thorough collection of evidence totally debunks the original claim. Sonny Nakvi was never in ICE custody. because there are hotel records of her stays in Chicago and Wisconsin during that time. Surveillance video of her at the hotels. Surveillance video of her at convenience stores in her travel from Chicago to Juneau, Wisconsin, during which she was driven by that boyfriend guy, by the way, who probably paid for these snacks too. As far as those screenshots supposedly showing Nakvi inside the detention facility, likely fake.
The evidence strongly suggests these location images were manipulated and are unreliable.
So, in lieu of jurisdictionally difficult criminal charges, which he says are still possible through an ongoing criminal investigation, Sheriff Schmidt is pursuing justice this way instead. He was lied about, he was smeared, intentionally so. So on Friday, he filed a $1 million defamation lawsuit.
This is Dodge County, Wisconsin, not Cook County, and we will hold them accountable. That civil litigation has been filed this morning in federal court. Damages are listed as $1 million.
Now, of course, anyone can file a defamation lawsuit whenever they want. It doesn't mean it succeeds. It doesn't mean a single dollar gets paid. Even if I, as a totally unqualified pretend lawyer, think the sheriff probably has a pretty good case. To the sheriff, though, it is not about actually getting paid. It's about accountability and it's about justice in a situation where traditional methods don't necessarily apply.
That's what this is about. Making sure that people know that her and people like her are out there and making sure that it doesn't happen again. I don't have any charges here in Dodge County to bring against her. My only recourse is to make sure that the public knows that she can't do this.
To his point on Nakvi's pattern of behavior, that is also confirmed in evidence. In 2018, she made an apparently false accusation of sexual misconduct against a professor, that he offered her good grades in exchange for services. She got that guy fired, or he resigned, but credibility was questioned after Nakvi's story changed over time, and she was accused of deleting evidence. In 2019, she accused an ex-boyfriend of attacking and sexually assaulting her. Investigation determined the report was false, but no charges were filed. In 2020, police responded to a report of an intoxicated driver in a Walmart parking lot. Turns out it was another Nakvi boyfriend, a guy she met on a dating app and with whom she was on some kind of date. She said she was going inside the Walmart to buy some things while boyfriend guy waited in the car outside. Instead, she called him in as some kind of drunk or high driver, but he was perfectly sober. Again, the report was determined false, but no charges filed. Why anyone with such a record of lies would ever be believed at face value only makes sense if the truth isn't actually the point. And of course, to the activists and their political and media friends, it's not. The noisemaking is, so they skipped straight to the noisemaking.
Call the Attorney General now in mass! We're all fucking here!
Still, the question remains, why? Why go to all these absurd lengths just to get some spa treatment or surgical enhancement or whatever other perks on your boyfriend's credit card? He obviously would have said yes without this ridiculous show. He already did beforehand. The sheriff, despite his investigation, doesn't know for certain.
I don't have an answer for why you would do something like that. So I can't hypothesize and make any allegations that I don't know are true, because if I did that, it'd be no better than what they're doing.
Could be personal, make up some fanciful story to get boyfriend sympathy so he buys you these nice things. Could be political, to attack and damage your political opposition. Maybe both. At this point, it could even be recreational or just inherent. Why does the frog hop? Why does the eagle fly? She's something of a reverse George Washington with the cherry tree. All she knows is telling lies. Anything otherwise is just contrary to her nature. So sure, there was no noose, there was no bleach, there was no MAGA country menacing. She didn't capitalize with Subway product placement. Perhaps the story is lacking in iconic lore, but still a pretty good story overall, which is why Sonny the Ice Jussie will probably follow the rest of his career path too. Watch for the Netflix documentary preposterously exploring her innocence, coming very soon. But I guess it is understandable for those Turkish implants and all that spa time, and maybe now for $1 million worth of lies, Sonny has some bills to pay, and maybe It'll be the first time that she's ever actually paid them herself. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on X. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chatting my live streams as live on Wednesday and Sunday nights. Looking forward to it. Goodbye. Well, hey, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, that means you probably found some value in the video. If you found some value in the video, please consider supporting it by becoming a member of the MC Club. For as little as $1 a month, you will enjoy a series of exclusive perks, including ad-free videos and podcasts, video calls, and a community Discord server with me and other listeners, loot box giveaways with channel merchandise, your name in the credit roll after videos and streams, and much more. But most importantly, you will help keep the production alive and independent from the forces of control. Join the MC Club at christiansenmedia.com/support, linked in the description.